To this day, he gave Jon Jones some serious fucking trouble. And Jon destroyed his legs. He needed double knee surgery after that fight.
What was going through your mind when you did that jumping side kick? Looked like you were aiming for Thiago Santos' knee.
Thiago was trying to break my jaw tonight. He was trying to give me brain damage tonight. And if a guy can give you a stutter for the rest of your life or memory loss, I think an even trade-off is to give him a lump for the rest of his life. That's just the game we play.
This is one of the greatest quotes ever when he was in a press conference with Daniel Cormier after their first fight. He goes,
I beat you after a weekend of pain. And two back-to-back weekends. Game one, your ass the next. It was great.
Joe Rogan's shocking revelations about Jon Jones have sent shockwaves through the MMA community. We're talking career-ending damage, bitter rivalries, and why Daniel Cormier just fired back with some brutal honesty about the so-called GOAT. This is a story that proves Jon Jones doesn't just beat opponents. He literally changes the trajectory of their entire careers. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear will change how you view some of the biggest names in MMA forever.
Thiago Santos, he ruined both his knees. Jon did. Yeah, both his knees after that fight, he had to get surgery on. He tore both of them apart. He sidekicked the fuck out of his knees.
Yeah.
He does the oblique kick to the thigh, too. He does it everywhere.
So
let's start with the bombshell that has everyone talking. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, the UFC's most trusted voice dropped some absolutely devastating information about what Jon Jones did to former title challenger Thiago Santos.
You know, when I heard his name first, I was like, oh my goodness. So, I mean, this is not happening. He definitely did really good, but one thing about me, as the fight progresses, I tend to figure out what's happening, get my game going. Thiago is a Muay Thai black belt, and you know, I'm only 10 years into kickboxing. I think he's probably closer to 20 years into kickboxing. So, you know, I just figured I'd challenge myself. I could have probably taken the fight to the ground. That probably would have been a smarter idea, but, you know, I know he will be back for a rematch, and I'll be ready.
Now, most of you remember that fight from July 6, 2019. It was closer than anyone expected. Santos actually gave Jones some real trouble, and many thought he might have even won that fight. But here's what Joe Rogan revealed that will blow your mind. He gave Jon Jones some serious trouble, and Jon destroyed his legs. He needed double knee surgery after that fight. Both of his knees were destroyed. That side kick to the knees. Jon is so good at that.
To this day, he gave Jon Jones some serious fucking trouble. And Jon destroyed his legs. He needed double knee surgery after that fight. Jon just destroyed his knees. That side kick to the knees.
one of his knees they messed up. He tried to kick Jon, and Jon slid back and made a miss, and he hyperextended his leg.
Both knees in one fight. And really was never the same again.
Think about that for a second. Double knee surgery. Both knees are destroyed. This wasn't just a loss. This was career-altering damage that Santos is still dealing with today. And the proof is in the numbers, folks. Since that Jon Jones fight in 2019, Thiago Santos, who was once considered one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the division, has won just one fight. That's over 5 years of struggling to get back to where he was before stepping into the Octagon with bones.
I've never met a person that actually remembers more than Rogan. We go to dinner after the fights.
Yeah.
And he'll be talking about events at UFC 15, and I'm like, UFC 15? Was that in 2004?
This is the Jon Jones Effect. He doesn't just beat you, he fundamentally changes who you are as a fighter.
I want to take this time to thank Daniel Cormier for being my biggest rival and motivator. Daniel Cormier, guys, he has absolutely no reason to hang his head. He has been a model champion, a model husband, a model father, a teammate, leader, and I aspire to be a lot more like that man because he's an amazing human being. Unfortunately, we were opponents, but outside of that, he is a true champion for the rest of his life.
Oh, I love it and I hate it at the same time.
But that's not even the biggest story here. Daniel Cormier, Jon Jones's greatest rival, just went on Shannon Sharp's club Shay Shay and dropped his own bombshell that has the MMA world completely divided. Despite losing to Jones twice, despite their bitter personal history, Cormier made a statement that nobody saw coming. When asked about Jon Jones being the greatest of all time, here's what DC said. "I don't believe he should be considered the greatest of all time. Steroids in fighting is much different than anything else in the world. You just can't have that tied to your name, especially in fighting, and people call you the greatest of all time."
A steroid is tied to his name.
Yep.
He can't be in the GOAT conversation.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that he should be considered the greatest of all time. I've said that. You can't, Shannon, Steroids
Yes.
in fighting is much different than anything else in the world.
They make you stronger. They make you faster. They give you endurance.
Recovery ability when you train.
That's what you.
Now that's brutal honesty right there. Cormier isn't denying Jones's talent. He even called him the greatest talent the sport has ever seen. But he's drawing a hard line when it comes to the GOAT conversation. And you know what? Jon Jones couldn't let that slide. He fired back on social media. But here's where it gets really interesting. Cormier isn't backing down. He's actually supporting Jones for the potential White House fight card, saying, if y'all want an American dude to go get a victory, put Jon Jones in there because he's going to win. That's what he does.
Secret, the whole world knows it.
You're right.
I say, man, y'all better put Jon Jones on there. Because right now we ain't got one American in the top 10 pound for pound. I say, if y'all want an American dude to go get a victory, put Jon Jones in there. Because he gonna win. That's what he does.
Think about that. Your biggest rival, the guy who lost to you twice, is still advocating for you because he knows you're just that good. That's the ultimate respect right there. This brings us to the heart of the matter, Jon Jones's complicated legacy. On one hand, you have cases like Thiago Santos, where Jones's fighting style literally ended a man's prime years. The oblique kicks, the wrestling, the ground control. Jones doesn't just win fights, he takes years off careers.
Jon Jones is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world and the greatest fighter fucking ever. Period. End of story. This fucking guy destroyed the best heavyweight in the division. Easily made it look like nothing.
Hello, Jon. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight. So I'm coming for it.
But then you have the elephant in the room, the failed drug tests that Cormier mentioned, multiple incidents, overturned victories, and a cloud that follows Jones everywhere he goes. Yet even his biggest hater, and let's be real, Daniel Cormier earned that title, admits that Jones is probably going to win any fight you put him in. That's the paradox of Jon Jones. He's simultaneously the most talented and most controversial figure in MMA history. The recent back and forth between Jones and Cormier proves this rivalry is far from over. Jones posted on Instagram saying he didn't just live in Cormier's head rent-free, he built a mansion there. And honestly, looking at how much Cormier talks about Jones, he might have a point. But here's the real question for you fight fans. Does talent alone make you the GOAT, or do the controversies permanently taint that conversation? Looking ahead, all eyes are on this potential White House fight card for 2026. Dana White said the odds of Jones being on it are 1,000,000,000 to 1, but Jones isn't giving up. He's back in the USADA testing pool, he's training hard, and he's optimistic about his chances. The irony? His biggest rival, Daniel Cormier, is actually pushing for Jones to be on that card because, in his words, Jones is going to win, and America needs that victory. Think about what that says about Jon Jones's aura. Even the guy who hates him most knows that putting Jones in there is basically a guaranteed American victory. That's the level of dominance we're talking about. Meanwhile, fighters like Thiago Santos are still dealing with the physical consequences of stepping into the octagon with this man. It's a reminder that in MMA, some fighters don't just beat you, they change your life forever. So there you have it. Fight fans, the Jon Jones Effect in all its brutal glory. Whether you love him or hate him, whether you think he's the GOAT or not, one thing is undeniable. This man changes careers, breaks bodies, and lives rent-free in the minds of everyone who's ever stepped into the octagon with him. What do you think? Is Jones the undisputed GOAT despite the controversies? Or does Daniel Cormier have a point about the steroid allegations? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. If this breakdown opened your eyes to something new about the Jon Jones legacy, smash that like button and subscribe for more explosive MMA content. We've got more breaking news coming your way, including updates on that White House fight card and what's next for these legendary fighters. Until next time, keep training hard. And remember, in MMA, legends aren't just made by what they accomplish, but by how they change everyone around them.
I don't believe that he should be considered the greatest of all time. Steroids
Yes.
in fighting is much different than anything else in the world.
They make you stronger. They make you faster. They give you endurance.
Recovery ability when you train.
That's mainly what steroids do.
Yeah, people
It
don't
allows
realize
you to
that.
go there and go hard tomorrow, and go hard the day after, and go hard the day after,
Yep.
and go hard the day after. That's when you grow. That's when you become better.
Yep.
Because it gets to a point where you're like, damn, I can't give you everything today.
Yes.
But you can go back to back to back.
And that was me at 36, right? Even though I was the best I could ever be, I'm working as hard as I could ever work in my life, knowing that I have to be ready. At 36, he's 28, right?
So he's in his prime.
He's in his prime, but that's the fight that he actually tested positive, and they made it a no contest. This is why I can't stand this dude, because somebody else that's not as good would have let me off the hook,
Right?
Because I was still there. And again, that's me. Football, neck, big neck, you know, short neck.
Yeah.
Can take, most people just fall down from a head kick like that. I was still there. So I'm like doing this thing, running away from him. Yo.
Daniel Cormier's insulting reason for excluding Jon Jones from his MMA Mount Rushmore has sparked another explosive war of words between these former rivals.
Give me your Mount Rushmore fighters.
Demetrius Johnson.
Okay.
George St. Pierre.
Okay.
Khabib. Khabib was undefeated. Nobody beat him. Fourth, God, that's where it gets tough. I would never put myself up there. Right? But I'm like right in that 4 to 7 range.
I thought you might put Anderson.
Anderson had the steroid.
Yeah.
Right? I can't put Anderson. Like, I would like to put Anderson. If I'm saying all those guys included, then obviously John and Anderson are on that Mount Rushmore. But I don't do that. I refuse it. It's not in fighting.
What makes Jon Jones so unique?
There is a dark side to Jon Jones. Jon Jones is a killer. He's a killer. When him and Cormier were in that interview, and they thought that the cameras were off. And they start talking to each other back and forth.
Jon Jones has fired back after being completely shut out from Daniel Cormier's Mount Rushmore over his steroid test history. And trust me, he did not hold back. Plus, we've got Israel Adesanya and Demetrius Johnson weighing in on whether Jones should have taken that massive $30 million fight with Tom Aspinall.
Well, if they offered Khabib $40 million, what they offer Jon Jones to fight Aspinall?
I think they offered, Johnson, he wanted 30. And I think they got the money. They got 30 for him, and he said no.
Everything on the table, would you have rolled it for 30 million?
Yeah. Bro, even if I wasn't a fighter, for 30 million, I'd get my ass kicked for 30 million. Like, yo, fuck it.
And like I said, for 30 million, but I don't know how Jon Jones' body feels.
Stick around, because this rivalry just reached another boiling point, and you won't want to miss Jones's savage response. Let's start with what kicked off this latest drama. Daniel Cormier appeared on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay podcast and was asked to name his MMA Mount Rushmore, the 4 greatest fighters of all time. DC's picks were Demetrius Johnson, George St. Pierre, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and for the 4th spot, he mentioned Chuck Liddell or Randy Couture. But here's the kicker. He deliberately excluded both Jon Jones and Anderson Silva, citing one specific reason. Anderson had the steroids, so I can't put Anderson. I can't do that, not in fighting. I don't believe Jones should be considered the greatest of all time. Steroids in fighting are much different than anything else in the world. You just can't have that tied to your name, especially in fighting, and people call you the greatest of all time.
Anderson had the steroid. Right? I can't put Anderson. Like, I would like to put Anderson. If I'm saying all those guys included, then obviously John and Anderson are on that Mount Rushmore. But I don't do that. I refused it. It's not in fighting. Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he even went to San Francisco.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Plus, he's hitting with a baseball bat. He's not punching someone in the face.
What does it feel like?
Now, DC wasn't completely dismissive. He called Jones the greatest talent the sport has ever seen and acknowledged his length, skills, and fight IQ. But when it came to GOAT status, that's where DC drew the line in the sand because of Jones's multiple failed drug tests.
I don't know who beats Jon Jones. I really don't. You know, and obviously you guys know my feelings towards him, but he's good, man. I think it's going to take a heavyweight. It'll be one of those guys, one of those big guys that will shut the lights out. I just don't know if those guys can beat Jones over 25 minutes. He's a good fighter. You know, he has so many weapons, and, you know, look at me. You know, I feel I'm one of the greatest fighters of all time, and he beat me twice. So that says a lot about who he is as a competitor. He beat me twice. He beat me twice. He beat me. That's bad. If you win both fights, there is no rivalry.
Remember, Jones defeated Cormier twice, but their 2017 rematch was overturned to a no contest after Jones tested positive for turinabol. He also tested positive for estrogen blockers in 2016, though arbitrators determined he didn't knowingly cheat. Well, Jon Jones was not having any of that disrespect. The former two-division champion took to social media with a series of posts that were absolutely ruthless. First, Jones threw some shade about always being the co-star in DC's story, tweeting, "When DC tells his story, somehow, I'm always the co-star. Thanks, at Shannon Sharp 84, for the invite, even if I was only there in spirit. Airbnb." But then he got really personal with this haymaker. Jones, quote, "High school state champ, JUCO national champ, youngest UFC champion, greatest in MMA history, a lifetime of loss, victories and sacrifice, and this guy wants to write it all off as steroids. Honestly, it's insulting, but I can't help but laugh, knowing it was God-given abilities that made him feel so inferior."
Don't you think that people can learn from their mistakes?
Mistakes? Mistakes. You don't constantly make mistakes.
No?
You make mistakes, but you don't do them over and over and over and over. No.
Says who?
As hard as you
Listen,
can.
we could do anything. We could run mountains together. We could swim laps together. We could do push-ups. We could do jiu-jitsu. I will beat you at anything.
Not even.
I'm younger, stronger,
Okay. Okay, I'm
more
glad you believe
athletic,
that.
and
Once
I'll
again,
beat
your
you
head is- this
10
guy's head's in the
times
clouds.
out of 10 times.
Now, I know you like to sit there on your high horse, but I'm telling you right now, this is my life, and I'm willing to die to beat you. You don't deserve this.
I'm bitter.
I will show you that you don't deserve this. I'm not bitter at all. That you don't deserve this. I will die to beat you.
You prepared to do that?
Jones, press the issue. Trying to say he's out. Jon Jones has done it.
Damn, that "feels so inferior" line had to sting. Jones basically said DC's entire argument comes from a place of insecurity because he could never beat him when it mattered most. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite all this animosity, Daniel Cormier actually credits his rivalry with Jon Jones for making him rich. DC revealed some shocking numbers about how that first fight changed his financial life forever. Cormier disclosed that his original contract for their first fight in January 2015 was just $85,000 to show and win. But here's the crazy part. Even though he lost that fight, Dana White called him the Monday after and said they were sending him a check for $1 million as a discretionary bonus for promoting the fight so well. "It was the first time I had ever made 7 figures. Champions make money." DC credited former UFC CEO Lorenzo Fertitta for having the vision to take care of champions with these massive discretionary bonuses. It's wild to think that losing to Jones actually set DC up for life financially, and from that fight forward, his pay kept skyrocketing as he went on his dominant runs at light heavyweight and heavyweight. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, that Tom Aspinall fight that everyone wanted to see. Israel Adesanya and Demetrius Johnson recently discussed whether Jones should have taken what was reportedly a $30 million offer to fight the interim heavyweight champion. According to Daniel Cormier, the UFC actually came up with the money Jones wanted. Jon said he wanted $30 million, and I think they got the money. They got $30 million for him, and he said no.
Everything on the table, would you have rolled it for 30 million?
Yeah. Bro, even if I was in a fighter for 30 million, I'd get my ass kicked for 30 million. Like, yo, fuck it.
And like I said, for 30 million, but I don't know how Jon Jones' body feels.
This is where opinions split in the MMA community. Some fans think Jones was ducking Aspinall, while others believe he earned the right to be selective with his fights at this stage of his career. The fact that he potentially turned down $30 million, if that number is accurate, shows just how much leverage Jones felt he had. But here's the thing. Jones recently came out of retirement and is now lobbying for a spot on the rumored UFC White House card in July 2026. However, Dana White has said there's only a 1,000,000,000 chance of that happening after Jones initially agreed to fight Aspinall, then backed out and retired. The drama doesn't stop.
One thing I've learned over the years about Francis doesn't always mean what he says publicly. What he says behind the scenes are different than what he says publicly. I'm not a big fan. I would be shocked if Francis ever came back here on lots of different levels. I'm not a fan, and he doesn't always mean what he says publicly.
Which is Francis Ngannou. I know that you've spoken earlier on about the possibility of him maybe boxing before we see him in MMA. What's the timeline for Francis?
As I said with Francis, one, we're true partners. We work with him on what's the best thing for the year. It's one MMA and one boxing. What order, what opponents to maximize Francis' career that year. So we're still in discussions with him, but it will be one boxing and one MMA. If you ask me, my guess, it's Francis' decision. I think boxing will come first, MMA will come second. His opportunities in boxing right now, through the roof. That would be my guess.
Don Davis sends a clear warning message to UFC and Dana White after Dana rejected Ngannou's potential UFC return. But wait, it gets better. Ngannou fires back with a brutal response, essentially saying, "Feed you out of your UFC. I don't need it."
Do you want to come back?
Where?
To the UFC?
Why?
No, I'm asking, do you? I guess the answer is no.
Yeah, what would I come back and do? I'm in a contract with PFL.
No, is there a part of you that says, you know what, maybe I do want to come back. Maybe I want one more fight. I just have to ask the question because the whole conversation was surrounded.
I definitely want to fight, but again, I'm expecting the PFL, and I hope that the PFL will make that happen. Yes, I want fight. I want more fight. You know, it's not like I want more fight, for sure.
Plus, PFL boss Don Davis drops a bombshell. Boxing comes first. I'm not giving my superstar to the corrupt UFC. And Jon Jones, he's got something to say about this whole mess too. This is about to get spicy. So smash that like button and let's dive into this drama. Let's start from the beginning, fight fans. So Dana White was asked about potentially bringing Francis Ngannou back to the UFC, especially now that Jon Jones has retired and Tom Aspinall needs opponents. But Dana, he shut it down completely. Listen to what he said. One thing I've learned over the years about Francis doesn't always mean what he says publicly. What he says behind the scenes is different than what he says publicly. I'm not a big fan. I would be shocked if Francis ever came back here on lots of different levels. I'm not a fan, and he doesn't always mean what he says publicly.
One thing I've learned over the years about Francis doesn't always mean what he says publicly. What he says behind the scenes are different than what he says publicly. I'm not a big fan. I would be shocked if Francis ever came back here on lots of different levels. I'm not a fan, and he doesn't always mean what he says publicly.
Damn. Dana basically called Ngannou a liar and said he's not a fan. That's some serious disrespect right there. But here's the thing. This whole conversation started because Ngannou's coach, Eric Nixick, made some comments about wanting to see Francis back in the Octagon. But Dana's making it sound like Francis has been begging to come back, which clearly isn't the case.
I was all about Francis in the beginning, and then I found out who Francis was. Francis isn't a good guy. Plays the good guy. I don't understand the language, so he seems like he's a nice guy. He's not. We don't like each other. He pulled some shit before the first Stipe fight, and I said, I'm done with this guy, and then Stipe beat the shit out of him. Great night. We never had a relationship after that.
The beef between these two goes way back to when Ngannou was heavyweight champion and couldn't agree on a new contract. The main issue, Francis wanted to box, and Dana said, no way. But Francis wasn't having none of that. He fired back on social media with a simple but devastating response. Did I say I'm ever coming back? Boom. Short, sweet, and absolutely brutal. Francis basically said, when did I ever say I wanted to come back to your circus? But it gets better. On the Ariel Helwani show, Ngannou got even more savage about Dana's comments. Listen, Dana is Dana, and I'm not wasting my time trying to figure out Dana or what he said. He does his show. That's okay. And as I say, trying to make my life low-key. Why would I come back in? I'm under contract with PFL.
Dana is Dana, and I'm not wasting my time trying to figure out Dana or what he said. He does his show. That's okay. And as I say, trying to make my life low-key.
Do you want to come back?
Where?
To the UFC?
Why?
No, I'm asking, do you? I guess the answer is no.
Yeah, what would I come back and do? I'm in the contract with PFL.
Did you catch that? Dana is Dana. That's some next level dismissive energy right there. Francis is saying, I don't have time for Dana's drama. I'm good where I am. And he's absolutely right. Francis is thriving with the PFL. He just became their inaugural superfight heavyweight champion with a brutal first-round knockout of Renan Ferreira. Now here's where it gets really interesting. PFL co-founder and chairman Don Davis just dropped some serious knowledge that's got to have Dana White heated. Davis made it crystal clear. Francis Ngannou's boxing career comes first, and the UFC can forget about getting their hands on him. Here's what Davis told TalkSport. As I said with Francis, we're true partners. We work with him on what's the best thing for the year. It's one MMA and one boxing. What order and what opponents to maximize Francis's career that year? If you're going to ask me, my guess, it's Francis' decision, but I think boxing will come first. MMA will come second. His opportunities in boxing right now are through the roof.
As I said with Francis, one, we're true partners. We work with him on what's the best thing for the year. It's one MMA and one boxing. What order, what opponents to maximize Francis' career that year. So we're still in discussions with him, but it will be one boxing and one MMA. If you ask me, my guess, it's Francis' decision. I think boxing will come first, MMA will come second. His opportunities in boxing right now.
Translation? We're not your farm system, Dana. Francis is our superstar, and we're maximizing his career, not feeding the UFC machine. And he's got a point. Even though Francis lost to both Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, those were massive fights. Against Fury, many people thought Francis actually won that fight after dropping the former champion in the third round. Now there's talk of Francis fighting Deontay Wilder next, which would be huge. Davis and the PFL are clearly prioritizing these big-money boxing matches over anything the UFC might offer.
Deontay Wilder, for a couple months, been training MMA.
Oh, really?
So, because there is an option here, nothing is said, but something been coming to my attention. So that's something that makes sense.
When can we see Deontay Wilder maybe making a crossover in mixed martial arts?
Thought about this many times with Ogano. You know, we was talking about getting together. You know, you always see the MMA guys crossing over, but you never see the boxers crossing over. How about you come to my backyard and after I can come to yours and cross over? And I really meant it.
But here's what's really going on behind the scenes, fight fans. This isn't just about Francis Ngannou. This is about power and control in the fight game. Dana White and the UFC have always operated with this attitude of, we made you, so you owe us. But fighters like Francis are proving that's not true anymore. There are other options.
This whole thing was like, I want to lead the PFL Africa. I want to build African fighters, and doesn't show up to the event.
The crazy thing is what happened is that they did that. They had to pay Francis Ngannou for that one fight that lasted $20 billion. And then they immediately went in debt. And they're like, okay, no, we can't afford this anymore. That's probably why he wasn't there. I think the company's going under. They just have no money, bro.
But here's the thing. They're going to rise because guess who the only MMA promotion on ESPN is now?
Okay, cool. And guess who's not going to watch it? Me. And that means they're going under, okay?
And that was our Forbes business take on the PFL.
Hey. The PFL is offering Francis something the UFC never would, partnership instead of ownership. Davis literally said they work with Francis to maximize his career, not their bottom line. And with Jon Jones now retired, the UFC heavyweight division is in a weird spot. Tom Aspinall is the new undisputed champion, but he needs big names to fight. Without Francis, their options are limited.
I don't like to talk about religion or colors, but if we want to say about something, I think the boxing will be in different place if we have black heavyweight champion. Of all of us from the 60 and the 70, living and seeing in the time of Muhammad Ali, You have a 3-4 legend in the same time.
While Francis is working with Saudi Arabia's boxing chief, Turki Al-Sheikh, who's putting together some of the biggest fights in combat sports. Why would Francis give that up to come back and deal with Dana's drama? Let's be real. Francis is probably making more money with his PFL deal plus boxing than he ever would have with the UFC's restrictive contracts.
Do you want to come back?
Where?
To the UFC?
Why?
No, I'm asking, do you? I guess the answer is no.
Yeah, what would I come back and do? I'm in a contract with PFL.
No, is there a part of you that says, you know what, maybe I do want to come back. Maybe I want one more fight. I just have to ask the question because the whole conversation was surrounded.
I definitely want to fight, but again, I'm expecting the PFL, and I hope that the PFL will make that happen. Yes, I want fight. I want more fight. You know, it's not like I want more fight, for sure.
Francis Ngannou, the Predator himself, has just sent a clear warning message to the UFC and Dana White. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss this bombshell announcement. We're talking boxing matches with legends, savage predictions about Jon Jones, and why Ngannou just said, fuck the UFC, I'm going to fight in PFL.
We offered Francis a deal that would have made him the highest paid heavyweight in the history of the company. More than Lesnar, more than anybody. And he turned the deal down. I think Francis is in a place right now where he doesn't want to take a lot of risk. Feels like he's in a good position where he could fight lesser opponents and make more money. So we're gonna let him do that. We're gonna release him from his contract. We're gonna give up our right to match, and he can go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants.
So buckle up, because in the next 6 minutes, we're breaking down everything you need to know about Ngannou's latest moves that have Dana White probably losing sleep tonight. Let's dive straight into the fire, people. Francis Ngannou dropped this absolute bombshell on the Ariel Helwani show, and I quote, "We haven't engaged personally, but it's going to be soon. We are setting some things up."
Just say we didn't find an agreement or something. Yeah, we couldn't come to a deal, but good luck to him. That's it. Good for him. And we continue our life. What's the problem here? But I think the problem is that he can handle this loss. I'm sure he's been praying for my downfall, and then I'm just keep doing my thing, rising. You know, since I left the UFC, in any senses, I'm more than what I was.
Now, you might be thinking, setting what up? Well, hold on to your seats, because the Predator isn't talking about any UFC comeback. Oh, no, no, no. Instead, Ngannou is making it crystal clear where his priorities lie, and it's not with Dana White's organization. When asked about his MMA return, here's the kicker. The PFL apparently has no opponent for him right now. Ngannou revealed he's been sending emails trying to get fights lined up, but the PFL can't seem to find anyone willing to step into the cage with this absolute monster.
XDF professional MMA fight.
Very interesting.
Here comes the young to try to get a matchup with Ngannou. Here comes the ring. Here comes the
boom.
Y'all don't really want it like
And then boom.
And you know what? I don't blame them. This is the same Francis Ngannou who knocked out Renan Ferreira in the first round at PFL's Battle of the Giants, the same man who pushed Tyson Fury to the absolute limit in boxing, the same fighter who made Cyril Gane look ordinary when he won the UFC heavyweight title.
He's out! He's in big trouble! And he's down! And he is down! Yeah! The king has returned!
So when the UFC comes knocking, and trust me, they will, Ngannou's message is loud and clear. I'm good where I am. But here's where it gets really interesting, fight fans. While the PFL can't find Ngannou an opponent, the boxing world is about to explode. Francis Ngannou is targeting none other than Deontay Wilder for his next boxing match. And when I say targeting, I mean this fight is practically happening. Listen to what Ngannou said. "We haven't engaged personally, but it's going to be soon. We're setting some things up."
We haven't engaged personally, but it's gonna be soon.
Soon that you'll talk to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are still setting some things up, but I keep training. I'm training.
Would that be your top choice right now? In if you had a top choice in any sport, like #1 fight is Deontay Wilder in a boxing match?
I would say so. since the Jon Jones fight is off, I cannot be part of it.
What does that mean when you say you cannot be part of it?
No, I don't say I cannot be part of it. I say it cannot be part of my top choice.
Got it. Okay, of the ones that are available.
Yes.
Okay. What did you make of all of that a month or so ago when all of that was happening with him in the UFC and then he eventually retired, and then Dana White was asked about you